So I haven't done sort of a new video for a little bit. So I just thought I'd do a quick run through of the garden. It is, I don't know, middle of June sometime. And this is just the at-home garden. So we are finishing up a lot of our spring stuff. So this is cilantro is starting to go to seed. So I will probably pull that. It starts to get a little bit bitter and kind of soapy tasting when it gets like this. We have harvested a ton of dill, especially from the far garden. A lot of the dill that's out here now we will probably leave. We get a very large population of black swallowtail butterflies that come. Actually, I think I have one over here that I can show you. And they lay their eggs on our dill and then they chomp it all up, and they are just about the most beautiful caterpillars on the other, or butterflies on the other side. So we just kind of let them have at it. Some years we actually collect them and feed them purposely, but this year we just are going to be out of town for a little bit. So the flowers in here are doing great. We still have tons and tons of strawberries in here that are doing just amazing. We need to get in here and pick some today. They are just kind of all over the place still. This obviously gets a little weedy when we are protecting it because it's hard to get in there and get some of the weeds out. And then the blueberries will be the next little bit. We do protect the strawberries and the blueberries with this bird netting. We found that's just sort of the most convenient way for us. But the blueberries are really starting to kind of swell up here, so they'll need protection next. And then lots of self-sown dill scattered throughout, and we love that. So little rosemary plant, we have a few cuttings from that that still need to be potted up. I left for a little while and had other people babysitting the garden, and our sweet potato starts suffered a bit from it. It got super hot, they weren't watered well, but a few of them have lived through it, so hopefully we'll still get at least a few sweet potatoes this year. Some of them are really trying to make a comeback here, so hopefully that'll work out well. The lavender looks amazing. This is a new kind for me this year, so I really need to get in here and get those flowers out before they start flowering. The mint looks amazing. The sage is doing great. This is a lot of our herbs are up here. All right, so then we're gonna go into the back. Sorry, I'm not good with video editing just yet, so these will all be a little bit spotty and sketchy. I also had a few extra pepper starts that we were hoping to plant in any of the spots of the far garden that weren't quite doing so well, but those also did not get watered while we were away. So a couple of them survived, so maybe those will go in, but most of them did not. This is doing amazing. These are the pea plants. It got a little bit windy yesterday, so they got a little bit knocked over. But tons and tons of peas on here. These are a sugar snap pea, so these are mostly just for eating while we're out here. And they are amazing. And that's how tall they've grown. We usually give them about a 4 foot by 4 foot area and just plant as many as we possibly can. And they usually do really well with that. Our at-home pepper plants are really perking up here. These are some red. That's a green, just for green peppers back there. Orange. The yellows are getting a little overwhelmed by the carrots that they're interplanted with, but they're getting plenty of sun, so I think they'll do okay. These carrots are growing great. I'm not quite ready to harvest them yet, but let's see if we can wiggle one out of there. They are certainly getting bigger. So this one we can give to Miss Molly over here, and she will enjoy a fancy treat from the garden today. All right, the other side of this garden, of this raised bed, our zucchini plants finally came up. We don't put a ton of zucchini plants in because we don't eat a ton of zucchini. I do put it in my smoothies in the summer instead of spinach. So when those start growing, that's what we'll do there. This is where all the spinach was. You can see there's still a little patch down there in the end, but most of that went to seed, so we took that out and put in just a couple of marigolds, some basil. There's a few nasturtiums down there, but this will be mostly dedicated to these tomatoes that are absolutely going to take over. So this bed is only 3 feet wide, and no matter how much I trim up these tomatoes and take out suckers, they are just always huge. So lots of growth on the tomato here. These first 6 are cherry tomato plants, and then I've got some orange tomatoes that I really like, and a pink slicing tomato called Damsel that was so prolific and so yummy last year. And then just a couple of early girls in the hopes that we get a couple earlier tomatoes. This bed was lined with onions along this side. There's some of those nasturtiums. I still need to take out a few of these spinach plants. You can see here where they're starting to go to flower. This is a radish, a single radish that I let go to flower so that we could collect some radish seeds for next year. And oh my goodness, you don't need more than one. Look at how big that is. The onions in the back here are doing amazing. They're growing super tall and healthy. They are just barely starting to think about bulbing. So I think in the next few weeks they're going to start doing a little bit more bulbing. That patch over there is leeks, and they'll be there until fall. There was a rogue cabbage I couldn't find a place for, so it ended up over here. All right, so then this is our peach tree. This peach tree is probably 4 years old. Last year was the first year that we really got any peaches off of it, but you can see they are starting to grow and they look fantastic, and I'm super excited. These are usually ready in August, so hopefully we'll get lots of good peaches from the peach tree this year. This is our little nectarine tree. It is only 2 years old. It does not get to grow any nectarines this year. It just needs to grow. Fancy compost bins yet again. We've just pulled out a couple of cauliflower, so we put all the cauliflower extra greens in there, and then we have some spinning ones for food scraps from home. We still have a few kohlrabi left in here, and they are huge. That is my hand, and that is that kohlrabi. It is the whole size of my palm. We have a few that are a little bit smaller, but still very sizable, looking really good. We have tons of beets in here. They are just starting to put on some little roots. These are cylindras, so they're supposed to be long and skinny like that, but they will fatten up beyond that. So beets are coming. These are a few little cauliflowers, so we'll have a few more cauliflowers coming soon. This is another little cabbage. Most of our broccolis have finished heading, but there was one variety that was a little bit further behind. We have a couple of beautiful purple cabbages that are starting to work on heading up, more broccoli. So I really kind of squish things together in here. This is the garlic. The garlic should come out in a couple of weeks. We just got scapes on it last week. Cut those all up. I put them in the freeze dryer and made sort of a green garlic powder out of them. They're really yummy. You can use them in anything that you would use regular garlic in. They are a little bit more mild. But because I know that this section is going to come out soon, I've planted cucumbers along the edge here. I just did that a few days ago, so most of them are not up. But I just saw today, not this little bit of green, that's extra, but these little guys right here are the start of some of those cucumber seeds starting to germinate. So that's very exciting. This bed is more in transition right now. This is where most of our brassicas were, so we do still have, like I said, a couple of those broccoli that were a little further behind. There are a bunch of broccoli where we have cut off the big heads and are now starting to get lots of these little side shoots. These will probably only be in here for another week, just to see what kind of side shoots we get, and then we'll probably take these out to make room for more things. I did leave a couple more radishes here because there was a different kind of radish over here just to see how they flower up. But again, one radish makes enough seeds for a lifetime. A couple more little cabbages. This is our one fancy purple broccoli. We did not start this one from seed. We just got this as a plant start from the store, and it is so pretty. I'm probably going to get some seeds for that for next year. These are the cauliflowers that I've harvested today, so they're just kind of sitting in here. We have a bunch of things that have started. We planted a few new seeds out when we planted the plants out, and they are starting to grow, so we'll kind of thin those out as we take out the rest of these plants. We had a lot of cabbages growing really nicely, and then this one variety of cabbage, which I can't remember what it is, I'll have to look it up, that got decimated. Now this is not cabbage worms, this is slugs. And they were planted very densely. There were cauliflower right behind there that were shading these, so these were in the shade. They did not get very big. They are very nice tight little heads, so if they'd had a little bit more room and a little bit more sun, they probably would have done better. But they took the brunt of slug damage in this bed, which is okay. If I'm gonna have a little bit of slug damage, I'd rather it all go to the same spot. But lots and lots of slugs there. We have had issues with cabbage worms crazy on our brassicas in the past. So I have tried everything. I have tried netting them, I have tried covers, I have tried all kinds of things. I've tried just coming out and picking off the cabbage worms. Every time I put a cover on them, some creature gets under it, a vole or a mouse or something, and just eats up all of my stuff underneath of it. So this year we gave up and we went with some sprays. We used BT, which is just a bacteria that caterpillars don't like, and they get very sick and they die when they eat it, but we don't. And I sprayed that on all the brassicas. So brassicas are, again, cabbage, kohlrabi, cauliflower, broccoli, and we really haven't had any problems with them so far this year, which has been amazing. And then around the edges of the bed, I went in with a hot pepper spray to keep all of the warm-blooded creatures away. But like I said, we had also planted some new seeds, and they, as we are taking the rest of this stuff out, are starting to get some light. So these are some more little kohlrabi, which is a family favorite, so they'll be really excited there. I also threw some random cute little nasturtium plants, so these will be a really beautiful orange flower when they flower. I also needed a little bit of room for some squash. We don't need a ton of squash in my family. I like it, but the rest of the family is not such a fan. So I have a couple little squash plants here that are just butternut squash, and they'll just grow over the sides as they get bigger and kind of spread on the ground, so they'll have plenty of room that way. And then this is one little pumpkin plant, because last year one little pumpkin plant got us 8 pumpkins, and we don't really need that many pumpkins. So that is the vast majority of it. Our raspberries were just planted last year for the first time, so this is all brand new growth. They are starting to put on some flowers already, so hopefully we'll get some raspberries this year. That'll be super exciting. This is over here again, some self-sown dill, and if you can see, we have a lot of little caterpillars on there, so we will probably let the swallowtails have this as well, and just get lots of beautiful butterflies this year. This is one little chamomile plant. Usually they don't flower until the second year, and this is the first year for this plant, so I'm just hoping that it stays green and grows. This is a thyme we planted last year, and it has grown like wildfire. It is just spreading like a weed, which is wonderful. So we'll have plenty of thyme this year as well. This is our little cherry tree. It is on year 2 as well. It is not doing quite as well as that year 2 nectarine, but it's trying. Hi, Molly. This is our annual flower bed. The bunnies come in here and eat anything and everything that we throw in here. So we just throw annual seeds in here and sort of see what kind of crazy wildflowers we get. This is a lemon balm plant, which, oh my gosh, guys. Oh, it smells so good. You can dry it and throw it in teas. You can just use it for, aromatherapy. It smells so, so good. So beautiful. But this is, we had this fence down kind of across the top of this to keep the bunnies out, and then kind of gave up on that recently, but you can see they just they come in and they just kind of eat the tops off of everything. So we just kind of see what survives the year. And usually by August, this bed is full of flowers of various kinds and looks very pretty, regardless of those bunnies. This is our older cherry tree. Now cherry trees need to be in pairs in order to get cherries. And maybe we've got a cherry in here somewhere. But that other cherry tree didn't really give us many flowers this year. So that's it. That's the garden tour for the year.